Okay. Well, welcome to everybody at this Earth Exchange Cafe with Lily Yeh, who will be talking with us today. And for those who would be anticipating this 5 hours later, apologies for the administrative issue with advertising on Facebook. So this is now in the future, in the past, if that makes sense. But this is a perfect introduction to us moving into the imaginal and settling ourselves into the cafe. So I invite you all to take your mug of tea, coffee, and coming through the door, we find ourselves in the coziest, most beautiful, most friendly cafe that we have come to love over the last 4 years. And we can hear strains of music and conversation from old friends. And we take up our favorite chair and we once again prepare ourselves for a joyous, fruity, rich, mournful conversation in the cafe. And we know that through our own practice of dedicating joy in difficult times in the planet, that we're going to be sharing a conversation all about that. So I will hand over to Trebi, who will introduce Lily to you.
Thank you, Harry. And hello, everyone, and welcome. It is just Lily Yeh. I have to just be completely honest here. She's one of my favorite and most admired human beings. And when we were creating Radical Joy for Hard Times, she was a model for what is possible to do with grief and beauty. So Lily is an internationally celebrated artist, and her work has taken her to communities around the world. She's the founder and director of the Village of Arts and Humanities in North Philadelphia. She was the executive director from 1986 to 2004, and she helped create a national model of community building through the arts. In 2002, she founded Barefoot Artists, and you can see that website at barefootartists.org. It's an organization that brings the transformative power of art to impoverished communities around the globe through participatory, multifaceted projects that foster community empowerment, improve the physical environment, promote economic development, and preserve indigenous art and culture. She has worked in the United States, Kenya, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Rwanda, China, Taiwan, Ecuador, Palestine, the Republic of Georgia, Syria, Haiti, and South Sudan. And probably that's just a partial list. She has a documentary film from 2015 called The Barefoot Artists that explores her work. So she and I met for the first time a couple of years ago after liking each other's work for a long time. And here she is. Lily, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for such a generous introduction. Thank you.
So I think what makes your work so unique and so moving is that you're not an artist who goes into a place sort of with a project in mind. You make a public work of art, you do it by yourself, and then you leave. You really work with the community. And often it's a community that has suffered very deeply. So why is it so important to you to work in this particular way? Let's start with that.
That's a loaded question. Actually, I didn't intend to. I didn't intend to work in public space, especially broken places. My original aim after when I came to the States and after I graduated from Penn, get the master's degree and so forth. My aim was going into the gallery and become a famous artist. But I think even though externally I was doing quite well. I have a family. I was raising my son. I have a teaching job at the then called the Colleges of the Arts, then University of the Arts, and I was showing in the basket gallery then. But I felt somehow something was missing, and I felt not totally in my authentic voice. I couldn't even identify what it was, but I just felt there is something not solid, something not rooted. And so I searched, went on looking for quite a few years, being a very slow learner. And it was by chance when you don't feel quite sufficient, then you are somehow open, your inside somehow feels open, and life it brought me an opportunity. It was an opportunity to build something, and I was doing installation. I was looking for space. It was an opportunity to build a art garden in the inner city abandoned lot. And it was just, life arranged such a situation. Like I applied for grant and blah, blah, blah. Um, and I was very frightened to go in. I actually didn't want, I almost withdrew. I mean, I was actually writing the letter that I couldn't do it because different reasons, and all the experts I asked how to do this project, and nobody recommended. You can do it. Kids going to destroy everything you build. You didn't have the money. You're outsider. Blah blah blah. And so, as I was ready to withdraw from the project, and the voice in me spoke and said that if you don't rise to the occasion, then the best of you die, and then the rest won't amount to anything. So I was thinking, even though I go to many different difficult places, but probably the one bold thing I did was that I rose to the occasion. And I said, I really didn't know how to do a park nor public art, nothing, nothing. I was a painter in the studio, but I stepped in without knowing how, without the resources, with nothing. But I stepped in. And then so after the first summer, I didn't want to stay. I thought, oh, I did my project. I write a report, and I'm going to go back to my teaching and find a nice gallery. That was in my thought. But kind of the project took hold of me, and the life has other purpose for me. And so as I was teaching, and the pictures of our work, people come together, and children, not really adults, a couple maybe, but mostly children, and the intensity, the challenge, and the fun, and the disappointment, everything just kind of surges in my mind, even when I was teaching. Then I realized that I said, man, this abandoned lot holds treasures. It intrigued me, and I have to go back. And so I went back the second summer and the third summer. And again, and it's just something so extraordinary, because that was during the 80s. Every art was so powerful and strong and successful. Everybody going to New York Gallery and buying, and so forth. And here, me going to the abandoned lot in inner city, I couldn't even share it with my colleagues or other artists, because it's just too out of the conversation. But anyway, looking back, and I feel that that kind of in kind of total dead environment. You know, it's just in parking lot. You're buried. All the destroyed houses in the basement. Nothing, just debris and trash and whatever. But that is like the darkness of a winter's night. And when you do something creative and you make art, we didn't make very successful art at the beginning. Our columns fall, our paints pulled off, and it didn't matter. Children came, and their laughter, their joy sends ripples of this energy of lightness and happiness. And that begin to change. Nothing visible, but there's something invisible but powerful that got hold of me. And so I went back, and it gets better, and we knew better. And because we didn't know anything, we got the best teacher. We went to the expert, and they became friends. They were generous in helping us because we didn't know how. We didn't have a lot of resources, but forced us to not been able to hire expert to do it. We just open up and try ourselves. We learn how to drive bobcat. We learn how to mix cement, and all the people in the neighborhood has a wonderful builders and engineer and so forth in the neighborhood. It just scattered. And then it helped me to realize that, my goodness, this kind of bleached landscape is full of treasures to be discovered and waiting for the enlightened eye or eyes that can see the hidden treasures. And so suddenly it opened up, made me realize that the abandoned places, problem places we all try to avoid, you know, places of grief, places of danger, actually is a potent place, which is not so pressured and then not so meddled with expectation, with pressure to succeed. And that is a wonderful space to explore, free to make mistake, a place allow failure and allow new ideas to be experimented. And then when we finally got a column standing up and beautifully decorated with mosaics, and it endures winters and all that. And we create art and beauty, and we also found our voice and identity. That was why.
Wow.
So those places are not places of danger, and the people, the openness of the people. Yeah, we have all kinds of problems. We have poverties, we have drug abuse, we have children on the street and so forth. But then if you turn around, we create theater out of people's stories shared in narcotic anonymous meetings, in story. People tell us heartbreaking stories. Those are most potent materials. We turn them into community theater. And then it's the people from the neighborhood, we're the actors, but we get the best I'm a professional theater director and dancers and so forth. And then it just totally transformed the family, individual environment, including all participants and me. Well, my life was transformed because of that.
Yeah, and
So it's not about just making a piece of art. It's really life.
Yeah.
Art is about life. And that's why you can go back, you build relationship, and you become entangled, and the well-being of other people are connected to your with one's personal well-being. And when you go to make art, when children are hungry, you have to bring food. When they are malnutrition, you think about, well, maybe get a piece of land so they can cultivate and build vegetable garden. That is all part of my artistic endeavor. And it's not, Duchamp puts a toilet on the wall and say, this is art. Who is anyone to challenge that? Holding micro landing is not art. That is my art form, and build toilet and build rain collector, collecting tanks for families. That is a part of my art form, in addition to murals, mosaics, and blah, blah, blah.
Thank you. It's that story is so it's one of those instances where you were feeling that something's missing in life, something's not quite right in your pursuit to be an artist with a gallery. And then this invitation comes along to help build a park in the inner city of Philadelphia. And it was like, it was the absolute right people coming together in the most surprising way.
Yeah.
Beautiful story. Harry, did you have something? I saw you busily taking notes.
I'm so enthralled and really beginning to understand the enmeshed way that land and landscape and place and community and people have influenced you. And there's a couple of really powerful things that have stood out. And I wonder whether you can explain a little bit about what do you mean by it's unpressured to succeed, and when you don't have that pressure to succeed, what is it that grows? What is it that is that does succeed, if anything?
Well, because it's not pressured, it's a free space relatively, and because we are, everyday life, we're under a lot of pressure to succeed. If you get a grant, you need to report that your what you deliver is successful. If you want to go to the gallery, you will need to produce art most of the time, except really famous artists, avant-garde, they can do whatever they want, like a toilet on the wall, right? And we are under a lot of expectation on us, so that's burdensome for everyone, especially young people. Then you learn your capacity is by how far you go when you fall. When you fall, you know your limit, and then you do better, and then you break another barrier. And so in those abandoned, forlorn spaces, nobody's watching, nobody care what you did. And so that is totally a free space for the fantasy, for wild ideas to come and to experience. And for example, the first couple of years, we built columns. We didn't know, I just put lath wire together and put newspaper inside and put cement outside, put paint on it. When we went back, the paint started to peel, and the lath wire rusted, and you push and they fall down. So I said, man, how do you build a column, right? And then so that's how, when I learned the mosaic, I learned construction. Oh, you have to put iron bars, so before 101 construction, but Jojo, my guardian, he couldn't find a job. He was my teacher. When I came in, I knew nobody. He was the organizer of children. Children adores him. The tough man in the neighborhood. When I wasn't there, he was the guardian of the space. I mean, he thought about the space before the space was more important to him because he found purpose. He guards this place where children come, when we make art. He waits for me the next summer. I mean,
is he the one who got in touch with you, Lily? Is he the one who got in touch with you, invited you to do that project?
no, it was Arthur Hall,
Okay.
the famed African-American, talented, and Ile Ife Humanitarian Art Center.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. I just wanted to make that.
No, he was the one, because he said that I have a little abandoned lot empty lot next to my building, and I install interior gardens. Then he said, why don't you come do an art park here, this abandoned lot? So, and I mean, one good thing is that when I didn't, so I said, oh yeah, why not try? But when I really got the little grant money, that's got me scared, because I said, wow, somebody give me money to do something I don't know what I didn't know how to do. So the journey began there, but I rose to the occasion, knew nothing, with nobody really there, but I took this first step. And so my story is that, respond to what's your life's calling, and then you don't have to be all equipped. It's not possible. But then just take the first step when one is ready. And yeah, and not rush into it. One has to be prepared and not rush into it, because once one walks that journey is what life prepared for each one of us, each separate press. That's our purpose, because once you step in, it requires everything. So just
I'd like to ask you about more specific work, a more recent work actually.
Yeah.
And that is, and it's something that I have been very interested in, moved by, and wrote about in my Radical Joy for Hard Times book. And that was your work in Rwanda, and where there was this terrible genocide more than 20 years ago now. And I want to see if I can show a photograph of one of the places you worked with. And it's a very tiny photograph,
Yeah.
but this is what this area looked like before, which became the bone chamber.
Yeah.
And this is what it looked like after Lily had worked there.
Right. Yeah.
So would you tell us that story?
It also is seemingly so at random, but that is the story. Again, life prepares us when we are ready. This is, I tell you the story, then I want to say a little bit about karma and about a chance meeting. Actually, all our chance meeting is not by chance. When all the elements, when we are ready, then it happens, karmic meeting. Well, 2004, I was on my way to Kenya. I have this very long ongoing project in a very huge trash recycling community called the Korokocho, outside of Nairobi. It was ongoing, so I would travel there every year. And then it just happened that I was invited to a international conference, and of anybody, it's Yunus. Now it's is that Pakistan? No, he's the deputy government now. Yunus, Muhammad Yunus, Nobel Prize economist. Anyway, so it's his micro lending about micro lending economy. Okay, so I was invited to do a presentation in that conference. Yeah, and then I met a person, Red Cross person from Rwanda, and so then I listened to his deep voice and him talking about the suffering of his people 10 years after the genocide. And I just felt my heart was moved. I felt it. It's kind of moved. And I said, well, I'm on my way to Nairobi, and I could just hop a plane and visit him in Kigali, and then take a look for myself personally. I didn't know him, so I said, well, how do I get him to help me? So I would, it's a little funny. So I just sat next to him for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for 3 days. So he got nervous. He, he told his host,
You
Spanish.
stalked him.
I stalked him. So he said, well, there's this woman artist. He is following me. He's always next to me. So he wants to come to Rwanda. And what do I do? So the Spanish Red Cross said, well, she's an artist. She should be of no harm. So it's okay. And that was really a moment of trust, because he had to drive in Rwanda at that time, very poor. He has to drive from west side of the country, Gisenyi, 3 hours to Kigali to pick me up at an airport of a woman who stalked him at the conference and picked me up and take me to see what it was. But he came. I went and he came. And I want to tell you, we have continued to work. And this year we celebrate our 20th anniversary partnership working in Rwanda and in our comprehensive, multifaceted the Rwanda Healing Project. 20 years continuously. Yeah. So I went there and I had no idea. He took me to see the old grave. It's just like what you saw, you showed. And I said to myself, I said, if my loved ones were buried here, my heart would never heal. It was like an animal stable, no markings. In rain season, the bones were soaked in mud, in water. And but one thing leads the other. I had no money. I am no architect. I didn't know how to build and whatever, but life arranged wonderful occasions that step by step, I was able to find just the right person. And I had no money. But then it all came at the right time. So it meant that I was provided an opportunity to do this. Did I dare to step in? And I did step in. And I stepped in by not knowing too much. That's how I stepped in. If I knew hindsight, I would have been so scared and run away for various reasons. But I didn't know too much. I didn't have much, not much knowledge or a partnership or helpers, and financially, not much of anything. But opportunity came. I respond and just took one step at a time. And the road gradually opened up. And that's what became the genocide memorial at Uguerrero. Yes, yes.
It's beautiful. And so the bones, I believe, are in that chamber. There's the roof on it.
Yeah. If when I look back, it's all unconscious. I was there 2004 and I just saw, wow. And so I just have a tiny little 4x6 little sketchbook. I just start to sketch pen drawing. It go back to the slide and I look back. You know what that looked like? It looked like a Neolithic mother goddess figure.
I just wanted to put it on the full screen if I can. I guess I can.
Yeah, if you look at that, this, when I look back, it's like embryo. And then you have the tunnel directly go into the womb. And then so there is the bone chamber under the pavilion, under the tablets, is where the most precious, the soul, the heart of Rwanda and the victims of genocide.
And so people have to descend down
Yes.
in order to reach that place,
Yeah.
which is very profound. It's like a ceremonial entering into that
Right.
most sacred of spaces.
To me, for healing to really take place, you have to tear open the protective veils. You have to enter into the heart of darkness. And then you have to face it, look at it, and you break out in your deepest hall of sadness and heartbreak. And when you let that out, then I think healing will begin to take place. Because when I was there in the 15th to 15th anniversary, I accompanied them. I was in the heart chamber and I saw people kind of collapse. And I saw some of the people not only looking at the coffins, they have to open up the coffins to stare at the bleached bones of many families putting together. And then I said, wow, that is staring into the heart of darkness.
Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. So Lily, you said a few minutes ago in the beginning when you were first speaking about your work, that it's really about bringing economic development and it's about making change in people's lives. So like taking Rwanda for an example, how have you noticed people's lives changing as a result of making this work? And it's not only the image that I just showed, it's other images that you worked with the people to make there too. How have people's lives changed?
Can I, before I answer your question, I want to just say that I have never intended to change people's lives.
I know.
Start from the beginning when because when people say, oh, you change people's lives, because I never felt that I was in the position to do that. I mean, life does that, God does that. I'm just a person doing art. And so, but then when you do the art, the process, when you set it up right, when you're about, it's really about creativity. It's really about the possibility and about the future. And do public art, one must work with other people. So collectively, co-creative process. You create art. For me, it's about something. It's really the ideal, something I yearn for, something I found deep connectedness and deep contentment, and a world that is, beauty. I don't know how to define it, but it's not decorative beauty. It is not something that can be possessed. can be valued at the market. None of that. But when we look at it, we are deeply fulfilled. It's like the first sunrise rays in the morning. It's like the soft, gentle breeze. It's like seeing the reflection of the moon on the surface. It's like bird chirping. It's like looking at something deeply calming and make one fulfilled and centered and calm. And life is right here and now. That is what I was searching for, so that I'm not driven by other people's idea, by trends, by pressure, by other people's success and wealth and so forth. And I'm at ease wherever, right here and now, and centered, and the purpose of life is fulfilled this moment. That's what my art is about, what I am searching for through my art. I'm always looking for new spaces, and true life taught me. And my art working at the village, at Broken Community, is my teacher, is the places teach me the wisdom of life and the depth one can live in everyday life. And so through the process, I feel transformed. I feel content. When other people coming in and participate and give whatever they can, and just be away when they can't, so no judgment, no expectation, and one feel when they give, it's a gift to the project. And so everyone is elevated. Instead of the receiver, they share their talent. They blossom while they do, and so then you create a open, democratic, nurturing space. We talk about so much about democracy, changing other people's system. None of that. It's a democratic place. It's an open, embracing, appreciative, and the welcoming. Whatever you can come in your own time, in your own ability, and you can give. And
Lily,
then,
can I ask you maybe a question about that? You're talking about community and space, and I'm really interested in if you can share your process, perhaps with the abandoned lot, and maybe more viscerally, perhaps with the experience in Rwanda, a little bit about what happens to you when you go to that wounded place to start with. What's the process there? How do you communicate? Do you get insights from the space itself? Is there an open dialogue which then guides you?
so simple. Everybody can do it. So simple. When to go to a place, one needs a guide. Otherwise it takes forever to build relationship. And human relationship is full of pits and falls, filled of complications. So always an invitation, a place needs to welcome me, right? And so when I went to use the village, because I knew nothing, I was unprepared, and but I went. So the first thing is you bring yourself, one's presence. Yes, I want to do this. I'm willing. And then who was my guide? I mean, I was invited by by Arthur Hall, this wonderful dancer, choreographer. He can help me, and I went and found Jojo. And Jojo the same. He heard the story. There was a crazy Asian woman wanting to do art and looking for him. So he wanted to have nothing to do with me. So he just avoided me twice. But the third time I tracked him down and I shared my dream. I said, wouldn't it be nice, I've been in love with children, make some art and, things. And so I shared with him my vision, what I see is possible. Do I know how to do it? No, no, it was just an idea, but at least it's an idea that includes other people in, not oppressing people, putting you down. You don't have anything. You didn't go to the right school. You're poor. You know nothing. So I need to give you charity. No, not like that at all. I said, wow, we can work with children and whatever. He bought into the vision. He helped me. And then, so that was the first one. And then
Lily, I want to ask you a question. Like, that's made me think of a question. So is there a place that you would have liked to create art in with the community and have not been able to do, or that you would like to do in the future?
there are many, if you want to work in broken places, you can spend lifetime and millions, endless life cycles to do that. But I only respond to places that beckons me.
But has there been a place that's beckoned you that you have not been able to go and work in, that you would like to work in?
It's almost, I would like to be in Gaza now. I saw I saw something, not in the war zone. I don't have death wish, although I'm prepared. I saw something about orphans. There's so many orphans. In Gaza, so many orphans, yeah. And then I just saw it, online somewhere, and the idea came to me, wow, that would be the right place to be, But it's hard to, but I wait, life beckons, yeah.
Well, so that leads into another place that I wanted to ask you about, because it is so timely. And I'm going to do another screen share. There. This is what you did in Palestine. I believe
Right.
it was in the West Bank. And you did work there, and
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. It was so tell us the story about that, because you've been on one side of that very divided, sorrowful, broken land. Tell us about what happened there.
This is in a beautiful village. It's called the El Aqba, not in the Arabian story, in the movie, in the story, not that Aqba, but it's in a tiny little Aqba village. And I met the mayor, and Haj Samal. And when he was 17, it's ruled by under Israeli rule, Palestinian land, but it's District C. And so it's dangerous place to live, because they practice live ammunition, military maneuver and whatever. And so this Haj Samdi, he was damaged by bullets when he was 17. And that rendered him lifelong, he became lifelong handicapped. He operated from a wheelchair from then on, and often suffered great pain. But he resisted. He said, "This is our land, and we are going to build homes and for our children and provide opportunities." And he gets help from international community. And so, and I was invited there to do a mural. And if you go back to the mural, and because I want to explain a little bit, I remember when the bureau, in the mural, and we together, I did workshop for children. I talked to him. We dreamed, we reflect. Once upon a time, there was the peaceful Palestine. This is the title of the mural. And so one time, somebody asked why there's no map of Israel there. I said it was called once upon a time there was peace in Palestine. This was done, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, and it is so timely now. And once upon a time, there was peace in Palestine. And yeah, and then I brought a wonderful barefoot artist team. And then 2 of them, one is Dud from Veteran, Dud Undrich, veteran against the war. And then the other one is Robert Shatley, Americans Who Tell the Truth, and in Maine. And then so he painted the 2 figures. And then we all together and other volunteers, and we all worked together and created the mural. Yeah. And this is still our dream, a unified and equal country for both the Jewish people and Arabs to live in peace and follow their culture and religious practice. That's still our dream.
Yeah, it seems very far away now, but it's definitely.
Do not despair. We must be hopeful, a hope for Palestine in the future.
Harry, do you have a question for Lily?
Oh, no,
Does anybody on Facebook have a question?
No, just thinking all of everything that you've said and no, there's no questions coming up. Yeah, it's powerful what you've been saying, and you've been very descriptive, and it feels very much like I've been immersed in your work and in the way that you have undertaken your work. So thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
actually have a question. I'm always interested to know about how people got to be who they are, and in my own life and in the lives of friends, I'm fascinated with how sometimes we have the memories that we have from our childhood are so, it's like they're very significant because they point to who we had to become. And we remember them for that reason. So I wonder if in your own life, when you were small, is there a particular memory that you can look back on that stayed with you all your life and you say, oh yes, even then I was me, I was becoming who I am?
I don't, I don't have very good memory. I mean, I don't remember a lot, just never was my strong point. So I don't remember when I was very little. I imagine we were escaping the war, because it was a Japanese invasion then, a lot of bombing. I remember my mother saying how intense it was, that she almost didn't want to escape anymore and whatever I did. But I do remember when I was in junior high, no, when I was maybe 13 years old, 12, or something in high school. Is that right? Yeah, 13, 14. Yeah, I do remember. I remember in during the recess or class time, making a drawing. I remember making a circle. Within the circle, I did the mountain, I did the little village, I did the riverbank, and I did the house and so forth. And I was shading it and whatever. And then I remember drawing the moonlight reflection and so forth. Yeah, the little drawing. And I remember I forgot time and I don't remember. And then when I was about to finish, suddenly I hear people talking. And then that was kind of entering into a timeless realm. And then looking back, that was actually the, like I like to draw when I was young. I like to draw from calendar and so forth, pictures of beautiful places. And then I didn't realize that became the passion of my life, to turn broken into a beautiful place. And the beautiful place is not just about having pavilion, having, design and whatever. It's really about that place you can enter and relax, reflect, recenter, and reconnect. And that became the Parson Gardens and whatever I do in different places. So I remember that vividly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for remembering that for us. We have to stop in a few minutes, but I do want to just ask you as we close what you're working on now.
It's just so great that I'm still working with in Rwanda with Jean Bosco Musana. We are about to complete our 17-year work with the Twa, which is the Twa people who are the indigenous, downtrodden indigenous population. There were 14 little villages scattered all over Rubavu province. And we already finished helping 13 villages through creative farming, buying land or renting land so the villagers can farm them collectively rather than begging or stealing or become day laborers. And then vegetable gardens so they have more healthy food, and tree-bearing seedlings. And so by the end of the year, the 14th village will have completely finished all the Twa forgotten villages. That's what we are working for Barefoot Artists. And the other one is way in the countryside in China, the migrant community. There is this new school with 500 left behind children. Their parents drifted to the city, they were left behind, no art and so forth. So we did the first one, art project. It was actually life-changing. You can just feel something new, powerful, and springing up. So we're continuing on that. And of course, the dandelion and training other people to do the other artists or educator, whoever, to do this kind of work.
I'll just show one picture of the dandelion school.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful photograph.
See, it's fun. When one does this kind of work, that's what feeds one, energizes a person. It's joyful. It's fun. It's connecting. Yeah.
Well, Lily, thank you so much. It's just you're as an inspiring speaker as you are an inspiring artist. So,
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I admire the work you do all over the world. Yeah, Radical Joy. What a name.
thank you.
We
Thank
need
you.
it. Yeah.
We do need it. Yeah, and what we have in common, of course, is this sense that we have to look at the wounded places, and we have to see what beauty is there that reveals itself to us, and then we make beauty for those places, and then the places transform. The places are different places. They become loved and beautiful.
Yeah.
So Harry, you want to say goodbye to us in the cafe, if you will?
Absolutely. And thank you, both of you, for such a beautiful conversation. So here we are. We're at the end of our hour together. And so our cups are empty and the fire has died down, and it's time for us to pass back through the door, out back into our everyday world. But before we go, we turn off all the lights. We look around and we thank each other for once again holding each other in this space where grief and sorrow and joy meet, and how rare that is and how special it is. And so thank you, Lily, for contributing beautiful artwork and a real sense of inspiration that will linger long in everyone's hearts who will be watching this in the future, and for those who've watched it today. So we close the door and we walk and into our everyday lives. So thank you again.